So I went to college at Brigham Young University here in Utah, and at that time I was not at all interested in becoming a software developer. I was going into school for electrical engineering, and I had a couple programming classes, and I did fine, and I performed well, but I did not enjoy programming at all. And so it wasn't until I had a job where I had a bunch of um, monkey tasks to do, like really boring work, that I decided to try and automate that with software. And I started realizing that software could be really practical and fun and interesting. Yeah, ultimately I got a job I got another job doing business intelligence, but I found myself automating some of our processes by writing software. And so I eventually was like, okay, I guess I do want to be a programmer after all. And after graduating, I jumped around to a couple of different companies and really enjoyed building applications of all scales. And ultimately, I went full-time teacher back in 2019. I took a little break to work on as the director of developer experience as a co-founder at Remix. And then I went back to teaching full-time, and now I'm working on epicweb.dev. Oh, I'm always blown away by people using WebGL. And so, like doing 3D stuff, whether it's React or anything else, it just blows my mind that the web is capable of doing those sort of things. And so, yeah, those are probably the most interesting things that I have seen people build. But on the React side, it's been really interesting over the years to see the different ways that people find to use React, and they creating various patterns to take the declarative nature of React and JSX as far as possible. I remember when the render props pattern became a thing, and that was blowing everybody's minds. And then there was higher order components, and then compound components, and a bunch of different patterns that emerged because just the flexibility that React gives you. Um, and then because it's really JavaScript with a little bit of JSX syntax on top, that's just a really nice and declarative mechanism for creating UIs. And so, yeah, those are a couple of the things and I'm actually very, very excited about the React Server Components future that we're looking at, where we're taking this composition model and stretching it and pushing it as far as possible, and having this composition that crosses the network boundary, which is very interesting to me. So I've never been more excited about using React. Oh, that's an I was going to say the ecosystem, but I don't think that's underrated. I think most people acknowledge how powerful the ecosystem is. And I think actually a lot of people suggest that the only reason that React is still used is because of the ecosystem. Because a lot of people feel like, oh, React is kind of, showing its age a little bit. There are other alternatives that are a lot better. Um, but I disagree. I mean, there are lots of ways to build for the web, and there's no one right way. But I don't think that the ecosystem is the reason that people are using React. React is an innovation leader, and it has been for as long as it's existed. And I think React Server Components are a good view into that. There are definitely other um, uh, like frameworks and even languages that support server rendering and streaming HTML to the client and all that stuff. But what React does that I haven't seen any other frameworks do is with React Server Components is push this composition where you can compose the client side and server side components together to get the perfect balance of what needs to be on the server, what needs to be on the client, and making the best user experience possible. So the best thing about React is its innovation and just how it continues to evolve over the years. It's amazing that yeah, we've managed to evolve React all this time. I my biggest thing that I want to do in the world is just make the world a better place with quality software. And I do that, and I think most people want to make the world a better place. I don't think that's a very unique thing about myself, but I have found that I'm really quite good at teaching, and by teaching people how to make quality software, then I am able to kind of scale myself a bit through my students, and they can make their corner of the world better with whatever software they're creating. And I have a small part in that as the one who's teaching them how to do that. And so the thing I'm most passionate about is teaching people how to create quality software. Whew, it's definitely so. I should say to so that people don't attribute too much to me, that I run conferences on easy mode. So I have a logistics company that I work with. They're called Zero Slope Events, and they run a lot of conferences. They're running React Conf this year. They run React Rally, NG Conf. They've been doing this for a long time, and they helped me run Remix Conf 2 years in a row as well. And so I've worked with them a lot. I've spoken at a lot of conferences they run, and they handle all of the really hard logistical stuff. And so my job is always getting speakers to agree to come and getting sponsors to agree to sponsor, which is a lot of work. Like I don't want to underplay myself either. Like I'm putting a ton of work into this stuff, and I'm making various decisions on where we're going to do this and stuff like that too. But the thing that I enjoy the most about the whole process is when we get to the conference and there are people just everywhere talking with each other, getting to know each other, meeting each other. This is the sort of thing that you can only really do by putting people together in an event like this and getting these strangers to meet each other. And then as a related part to that, seeing the speakers and sponsors show up and having prepared so much, and it just is such a nice, um, validating thing. This is a very touching thing, I guess, that they would put forth so much effort and energy into making um, my baby as successful as possible. So that, yeah, that's a long answer to your simple question, but that's what I really enjoy about running Epic WebConf. I think um, I think that AI is definitely a big part of our future. It's a big part of my present. I'm using AI assistants as I'm working. I think more of us are going to be working directly with AI to add AI to our applications, our offerings. We already see AI companies trying to um, use AI to replace developers. I don't think that's going to happen in the next 5 years. It might happen in 10. It's hard to predict out that far. And if it does happen, then I think the entire landscape will change. I don't know that we'll be using React or Vue or Solid or any of these frameworks. I think if the AI can program, then it can make a programming language and it'll just make up its own thing. So who knows what the distant future looks like? But I do think that we're going to be in 5 years, the landscape for building web applications will actually look pretty similar to what it looks like right now. But with AI being a much more capable assistant. And so I don't think that we're going to get to the point where everybody's just doing a drag and drop or just prompt and poof, I've got my UI. I do think that software engineers will still be required to at least review what the AI has done um, and make improvements to it and maintain it. Certainly, I think that the existing applications that we have today will still be relevant and need to be maintained. And so, while I do think that and there will be innovations that I can't even imagine right now. I think for the most part, the next 5 years are going to look pretty similar to what we're doing right now.